YouTube, how we doing? Episode 2 of the solo Q&As. Now, first and foremost, I have to say thank you ever so much for the, honestly, fantastic feedback. I had so many messages on social media, basically just Instagram, saying like, oh, thanks for this, all that sort of stuff, which is crazy. The video got like 1800 views as of right now in about a week, which is mental, because to sit there and have that many people listen is really cool, and it's something, like I said, it's a form of content that I really enjoy listening to myself, and as a result I want to do more of. Like, I think there's certain content on YouTube, like you see certain YouTubers and like they finish a prep and all it is like food and shit like that, and like that's not my sort of vibe. Like, I'm not into that sort of content myself. As a result, I'd struggle to do it. I like doing training, I like speaking about bodybuilding, I like answering questions, I like sharing knowledge, I like the sort of education side that goes a little bit further than just the classic reels on Instagram and stuff like that. So for everybody that has watched, obviously I appreciate it. These are going to be weekly. Check out my Instagram for the question box. We have a lot of questions to go through today, okay? So yeah, now if you see me moving stuff around like my t-shirt, it's because it is hot, it is warm within the UK. Either that or the high dose SLU is clearly fucking working, guys, okay? I think it's a bit of both. So we'll start off. Now, first one, ever used Nandrolone during the off season? Would you recommend? I have used Nandrolone within my 2022 off season. I used, I think, 300 milligrams at peak. I personally would rather, if I'm going to use a 19 nor, I would rather use the Mac Daddy. I'd rather use Tren, even in an off season. I wouldn't use Nandrolone, obviously, within a prep. But I think Nandrolone has some purpose in certain cases. I just think there's better compounds out there, if I'm being completely honest. And I think with the access that we have now to like understanding the risks and the benefits, realistically, for a compound that's going to aromatize to identical E2, or it does aromatize, and it's just not a compound, in my opinion, when it comes to how you feel upon it. For most people, you're going to feel pretty mellow, pretty like just meh in general. And then yeah, cool, the joint protection benefits and the fact that your joints are going to feel good, but then also that will leave the second that you come off. So the second that you come off the Nandrolone, you're probably going to notice that you're like, oh shit, my joints are still pretty fucked, and like it was almost masking things. And as a result of that mask, it's probably going to be a case where like you're going to do stuff that is a bit silly, like you're going to probably make things worse. So as a result, I think personally, would I recommend? Probably not, if I'm being honest, like just based off the fact that I think there are just better choices and better compounds out there, especially nowadays in 2026. So yeah, right, so next one. Thoughts on majority of work being in lower rep ranges for someone who knows how to train accurately and isn't super strong. So I think, like, realistically, rep ranges don't really make a huge difference. It's just taking your sets all the way there. And it's a bit of a tricky one, because what I would be on the side of is wanting to get the most out of my sets and the most out of the rep ranges. But I would be on the side of like what's going to be best suited towards a certain movement. So let's be honest, if anybody has ever done a 3-rep hamstring curl, it probably feels pretty naff. But if you've done a 3-rep, let's say, stiff leg deadlift, and you've gone all out and it's a mega set, it's a lot of load, it might not internally feel fantastic, but it's still going to probably feel pretty good. So as a result, I would be on the side of thinking like, let's look upon the exercises. And I also think as well, like realistically as well, we should be trying to get stronger across all rep ranges. It shouldn't just be, I'm going to get stronger on this movement on a 5-repper, a 3-repper, a 4-repper. I think we should be aiming to get stronger across all rep ranges and challenging different sorts of pathways of strength and likewise demands and performance and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's kind of like how I'd be viewing that, but I think again it's very kind of person dependent. Otherwise, next one, we have top 3 most important factors / things for young lifters. 20, max progression, to ensure max progression. Consistency, enjoyment, and adherence, probably. Those would be the first 3 that would spring to mind. I don't really like questions like this, no offense to the person asking. It's just like top 3 most important. Like, it doesn't change if you're young. Just like enjoy what you're doing, so you can probably apply yourself a bit more. You want to be adhering to the plan, so sticking to your fucking plan, and then making sure that like you're, let's say, consistent. Sorry, I find these questions, they're the challenging ones in socials, because it's like, what do you reckon? Like top 3: sleep, fucking diet, and like recovery training and fucking PDs, or diet, like, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, just get into the gym and do things that are positive. Okay. Next one. How many times a day do you pin or take oral SLU? So SLU, I mean, I don't think you need to take it more than twice at absolute maximum. I think there'd be some theory to fasted and then potentially like early afternoon or pre-workout. Within the UK, especially currently in places obviously where it's hot, I probably wouldn't recommend to do it pre-workout. I think SLU majority of the time should just be fasted. I do have some pre-workout, but only on my upper body days, because fuck taking SLU on a lower body day with how hot my sessions are generally and just how demanding they are. So fuck that shit. So yeah. Otherwise, we have what's the reasoning for utilizing insulin during a rebound? Why wouldn't you? Like, let's be honest, in a rebound period, you are basically a Lantus pen. Your body has become a Lantus pen. You are for ability to uptake nutrients, process everything, store everything, you are super sensitive. However, there is only so much that we can like hold. Like, I look at it and think and I've never actually, I think I made this up myself, and it's not an amazing analogy, so I do apologize. However, I would say when it comes to direct insulin, especially Lantus, like a basal insulin, something that's slow acting, working within the background, imagine your swimming pool is like, let's say for nutrient uptake, goes from this big to this big. So it just increases that swimming pool potential for how much nutrients you can uptake. If you would throw all the carbs that you eat, if you throw them in the swimming pool, it just expands that swimming pool by, let's say, a few let's say centimeters either side, or a meter each side, or whatever. And essentially, especially in a rebound period, your body is going to be super sensitive, and with peptides and stuff like that, you'd be fine to probably go, I don't need insulin. But I also think, like, why wouldn't you want to take it, especially around the workout window, especially within synergy of high doses of GH. And also, as much as people will go down the side of insulin use isn't going to stop insulin resistance, it definitely will put your body into a better position collectively. So if you're splitting Lantus twice per day, or you're taking like Trashiba that's going to be 24 hours, and you're keeping your blood glucose at a lower set point, especially in an aggressive rebound where food has gone from being within a calorie deficit to a calorie surplus, why wouldn't you want to be in a position where your glucose is going to be lower, your body's going to be even more sensitive, and as long as you're not running into hypos and you're feeding yourself appropriately and you're not eating loads of dietary fats, aka off-plan food, you're not going to really run into any issues. I think the problem is people will go, oh, well, I do my insulin and then my weight goes up because they eat off-plan, and then they're looking worse. And it's all, yeah, of course, like that's going to be the case because you're eating like a fucking idiot. So yeah, that's kind of what I'd be thinking of there. Otherwise, one thing you hate about the bodybuilding industry, I answered this on Instagram, so I would say when people speak in absolutes, which is funny, so ironic, me doing a video like this answering questions, but I'll rarely ever say you have to do this. I kind of theorize and go, you can, like that insulin thing. I think, like, why wouldn't you? But you don't have to. Bodybuilding, I think nowadays with coaching is very much like you have to do this. Like, it's scaremongering. It's you have to stay lean in the off season. Rebounds don't work or whatever. And like nowadays, you actually see the people that preach stuff like this, it's often because they sell their coaching at very high rates, and as a result they have to find ways to either market themselves or put themselves forward to showcase like an extra level of knowledge or like understanding towards something. So you'll have, let's say for example, some guys in the States, his name rhymes with Mamron Meek, and he sells like fucking $600, $700, $800 coaching for gut protocols, yet none of his clients really at the end of those gut protocols look, I would say, anything greater than where they were before, and they've just basically wasted their time and money potentially based off, let's say again, oh, my gut's healthy, and it's all, yeah, but you're also a bodybuilder. Like, not everyone has gut issues. Likewise, let's say, and this is again no slight on, let's say, the J3U guys, but preaching like the safer use model, yeah, that's not what they use to get there. And they will say this is the way to run things, and it's like, oh, that's not what you did to get there, guys. Like, sorry. Like, I don't really subscribe to that sort of thought process. I love the John Jewett stuff. I love a lot of the content out there. I just don't like when people use a different way to get there, and they say, this is what you have to do, guys. This is how it is. And it's like, no, it isn't. It's not. Like, it can be, but you also didn't do it yourself. So yeah, anything else I can say that controversial? People lying about shows that they're doing. I'm 4 weeks out, when in reality they're not, they're a week out. I think that's fucking stupid and retarded. No one gives a fuck. When people put prep announcement, they're pulling out of prep, and they've only ever won a random regional show, and they're not very good. No one gives a fuck. I think people make out preps are a lot harder than they are, and they then end up becoming completely different people. Everyone knows the guy in the gym who they see starts prep, and it's like, oh my god, the hood goes up, the fucking personality changes, doesn't speak to people, and like shit like that. I also think a lot of people just force themselves to bodybuild because they don't know any better, when in reality bodybuilding is a niche, taboo sort of sport that I don't think should be available for everybody. It takes a weird individual to want to bodybuild, okay? Soz for the people that go, oh my god, bodybuilding shouldn't be exclusive, and it's like, well, you know, not every sport is easy to get into, and like at the end of the day, if you want to do it and you're taking potentially PDs and putting your health at risk, you want to be getting the most out of it, and you want to be doing it for the right reasons. So yeah, next one. How big do I have to get to rock a heavy duty apparel oversized tee? Heavy off season inbound. This is a men's physique guy. I didn't buy a heavy duty top until I'd already competed within Classic and Open, so Sosbro. Hilariously, the heavy duty Make Training Great Again Reese Fit Edition t-shirts all sold out, XL plus, so like XL, 2XL, 3XL, 4XL, 5XL, all had sold out, but the smaller sizes hadn't, so there's your answer, bro. I mean, you don't have to get that big, but sizes, if your size is there and it's in stock, you ain't big enough, bro. Do you store your GH in a fridge or dark, cool cupboard prior to being mixed? No. This is 1,000. No, this is 500 IUs. These are 50 IU vials. I have this on my desk. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. I don't store things in the fridge. Yes. The only thing I actually do store and have stored is Increlex, because that's £900 per vial. For the finest GH that is made from a Chinese 7-year-old, I don't really mind if it goes from 50 IUs to 47.5 IUs if it takes me a few months to use. Just how it is. Otherwise, do you think it's worth paying more for particular brands or food quality, or all the same? Yeah, I'd say definitely to a certain extent. That being said, food is food, and I think it depends on where the level you're at. Like when I was a uni student, I remember adding up in my head like what the cheapest protein was in comparison to other proteins, and what I could have like to kind of have carbohydrates and stuff like that, to basically allow me to bodybuild. And I would look at like supplement quality, PD quality. Like if you're like, oh, I can get this test and anthate, but it's like probably a little bit underdosed and it's from a dodgy guy at the gym, and it's 20 quid cheaper or 15 quid cheaper, it's probably best to just buy it from a more reputable source. Same with peptides. But like, let's say if you're going between my protein whey and a very good quality whey iso, the good quality whey iso is going to shit all over the whey that's bulk powders on my protein, and likewise you will probably get the shits from the my protein and the bulk powders whey and stuff like that. Like for the guys in the States, like they're like the slightly worse quality like whey products. The whey iso I think from my protein's okay, but like when I was a young broke fucking college student, I was like buying 2 to 3 kilo bags because it was like, oh, I've got to save the money and I've got to get the most out of them out of this way. And I remember like my stomach was fucked. So like in that situation, yeah. But I think like if you're paying for premium chicken breast that's £5 to £7 more expensive per kilo, is that really worth it? Probably not. Like it's just chicken breast, bro. That being said, in the UK, food is relatively like regulated. When I've been to the States, I've seen chicken that I'm like, I would not buy that shit, you know, and stuff like that. So this is something to kind of be mindful of. My cycle now, I am on test, EQ, mast, tren, anavar, GH, and a fuck ton of peptides. Total injectable load is 2.1 grams, and the oral is putting me up to 2.45. So yeah, that's that. I'm not going to say the ratios because it doesn't matter. That's what's best set with me. Test is highest, EQ is at like just under a 2 to 1, and then mast is working at a low dose, and then tren is really low dose. So yeah, otherwise, let's go. Baseline energy level change while utilizing mitochondria peps. Probably feel better, might feel worse. What am I going to say, bro? Oh yeah, you're going to get a 7% boost of energy? I don't fucking know. Sorry, that's the trend speaking, guys. Yeah. But I don't know, you might feel better. You need to understand your body and where you're at. Hire a coach. Oh. Is it still rolling? Guys. It just paused. Right, we're back. do apologise about that, guys. I just kicked I think the connector from my Mac to this laptop screen went, and hopefully, like, there wasn't any issues, but I think it's okay. So yeah, if it went black or whatever, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, what would you do if you struggle gut-wise with GH? Food slowed down, starting at only 2 IUs. Is it GH? You sure it's not Retta? Yeah, mate, your gut shouldn't slow down with GH. I'd argue maybe is it insulin resistance if you're doing it like pre-meals or in the morning. Do it pre-bed. I've never heard of gut issues from GH, other than if you're eating stupidly and you have you have insulin resistance, and as a result the GH is making it worse. But 2 IUs is like a replacement level of GH. IGF isn't really going to even be cranked into superphys levels. You're basically throwing money away. So like if it is causing you issues at 2 IUs, just don't take. Like you'd be better off just not taking, bro. So yeah. Right. How does your body handle so much Superdrol? It doesn't. I don't have that much Superdrol. I just take Superdrol in peak weeks and stuff like that. I've actually got some injectable Superdrol that I used for the first time on my last high day. That shit's pretty fucking cool. I did 15 milligrams, and oh yeah, I could tell. Like, I rarely gain weight from like a few, like let's say from a few meals. Like, I usually will weigh myself after like 3 meals, and I was like, oh shit, I'm 4 kilos up, and I look like I've trained and done 20 grams of salt and 5 scoops of pump product, and I've like just sat around doing check-ins. Like, it was pretty fucking nutty. So yeah, I think I'm definitely going to utilize that in peaks. I don't know how close to the show because it is no ester, and the likelihood of pip, especially as the dose gets higher, risky. But it would look pretty fucking freaky if I do any shit shows this year, like in between shows. Which there's one that I say shit shows. That's horrible. If I do any like main shows, yeah, shit shows. Sorry guys. Sorry, that's an insult. I shouldn't be saying that. If I do any less quality shows, and I'm just gonna have a fucking Hail Mary peak and have some fun, I am 100% doing like a mil of Superdrol, injectable Superdrol the day before and the day of. Could die, but also will definitely win the overall. So yeah, as I should every show this year, guys. That is the goal. Got 3 overalls out of 4 shows last year. This year, hopefully just 2 out of 2. Regional, pro qual, bang, bish bash bosh. In before 5th place. Right. What's a min you think to drop to a cruise after diet before bumping for growth season? I don't know. Depends on where you're at, bro, with your phase. Sorry. Yeah, I don't like to give shit answers like that, but like, what's the min to drop to a cruise after diet? Depends on where you're at, bro. Depends on like where your timeline is, like to get your body into a more responsive and healthy position, I guess. What's too high for a fasted glucose reading? Depends on genetics, depends on where you're at, depends on where your phase is, depends on what the phase actually is. I wouldn't be saying like there's a set point. I wouldn't be wanting somebody to be continuing to be within a calorie surplus if they're like, let's say, consistently over 6s and 6.5 nanomoles, let's say in the morning. But realistically, if you're riding slightly high, then you can do things to get on top of that. That being said, within the off season, it's going to trend higher. I've never seen mine higher than a 5.4. Usually I'm in the 3s to 4s, and I feel relatively okay. Mine sits pretty low. That being said, if you've had an off-plan meal, if your body fat levels are high, if you've been in off-season with a good amount of time, you're doing a good amount of GH, you're not taking insulin-sensitive peptides, are you going to run into issues, or potentially is your body going to get used to being slightly higher? Yeah, maybe. Like Conroy, for example, his naturally sits pretty high. Conroy is one of my classic dudes who is very, very large. He's 300 pounds, and he was on stage last year at like 235, 240. So he's like 65 pounds north of stage weight, and he's not 65 pounds north of stage weight condition now. And like his blood glucose, fucking hell, speak. I sound like I was sucking something I shouldn't say. His blood glucose it sits sometimes like 6.5, and it's like, well, look at your composition. Is it getting worse? No, it's okay. So let's stay on top of what we can do. Let's stay on top of cardio. Let's stay on top of meal timings. Let's make sure in between meals we're doing steps. We're keeping fats low when we need to, and we'll go from there. And his composition isn't noticeably getting worse. So depends on where you're at. Right. Benefits of hiring a coach that first timers may not expect. You're hiring a coach, bro. That's literally what it is. They're going to tell you what you need to do. It's going to make the whole process easier. Like, if you're a first timer, you need to get a coach. Like, I've never had a coach. I have done my own preps. If I look back, I probably should have had a coach for my first prep. It would have made things a lot easier. Just get a coach. Like, you don't need to be thinking, oh, I wonder what the rationale is, or I wonder what I get. You'll get a guy who'll take away stress, tell you what you need to do, and just make things enjoyable, because you're going to be over analytical regarding every fucking variable that is just not worth the time and stress. What's your current training split? So it was push-pull legs with a rest to either side of the legs. It is now upper-lower with a pull and hamstring focused lower and with like a hinge, and then a quad focused lower with a bit of arms, and then a push focused upper and a pull focused upper. So everything getting done pretty much like twice per week, but a bigger focus on each individual session with 3 rest days. My previous split, it was either 4 or 5 training sessions depending on how it fell per week, and I was basically just like, my training demands were a bit too high for those sessions, with recovery getting worse as I was getting deeper into prep. So training split's been changed for the foreseeable. I can't imagine it's going to change till probably post show. Even after that, probably a good 5 to 6 weeks post show. So probably on the split now for a fair few months, I'd say. Right, what can you explain your reasoning behind using T3 year round and the benefits of it? I didn't answer this on Instagram because I've answered this so many times. As a enhanced bodybuilder who controls their hormones, why wouldn't you want to control your thyroid? If you are starting out and your thyroid bounces back and you don't need it within a prep, that's absolutely fine. You do not need to utilize thyroid. However, as a bigger dude who has pushed his body not to the absolute extreme, but like I've done multiple preps. My T4 levels never came back after the 2023's prep, which to be fair can be impacted from GH, but that never came back. So T4 levels actually was down regulated, so I needed to replace that. And then in my last prep, I noticed my T3 levels dropping at a rate that was a little bit faster than previous, and I just thought to myself, why am I playing and rolling the dice with this? Like, if I don't get the desired fat loss effects, I'm just going to why would I waste that for a week or two? I'm just going to keep it consistent. So for me, it's a 4-to-1 ratio. I bump up the T4 to 150 as I get deeper into prep, just because the conversion period as you get leaner from T4 to T3 is going to downregulate. I would say to start off most people with T4, you probably don't need T3. However, T3 has higher protein uptake benefits and its nutrient partitioning benefits as well. So if you are a bigger bodybuilder eating more protein, your T3 and T4 levels, they probably would be better suited to being consistent. So therefore, I keep it consistent by taking T3 year round. Simple. Could probably make that fucking real. Simple. Anyway, what's your tip health phase / cruise AES dosage weeks? How long's a health phase? Depends on where you're at, bro. If I've done a prep, it's probably gonna be a little bit longer. If I've done an off season and I'm bridging between and I'm going into a prep, it's probably gonna be a little bit shorter. The dosage depends on kind of where the goal is and what things are going to be. If I've had a really successful off season push, am I gonna drop down to legit TRT? No, that's just not gonna be productive. I would say for an enhanced TRT plus, it's probably 3 milligrams per kilo of body weight. So if I'm like, let's say 120 to 140 kilos, we're probably talking 320 to 360. Yeah, no, 360 to 420. Yeah, like milligrams weekly. And my health phase after prep was it was initially dropped, so my rebound was 1.4 grams. So I dropped down all the harsher things. So I just pulled out a little bit of trem, pulled down the EQ slightly, so I wanted a little bit more E2 present, and then I had my health phase at 400 milligrams, and that was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 300 test, 100 mast. I think I'd have to double check. So yeah, but is that a legit health phase? No, it's not. That was just a health phase for me in the moment, and then my previous health phase that I ran prior to this prep was a little bit more TRT, but that was still 300 milligrams. But that being said, for the people listening to this, I am 270 pounds as of this morning, in very, very fucking good shape. I will be 260 plus on stage. When I was post-prep in men's physique, I dropped down to like 150 milligrams. When I did classic, I dropped down to 200 milligrams. I was on 200 tests for 12 weeks. Fucking sucked. Anyway, are you a high, medium, or low protein guy? I'm an appropriate protein guy. I'd say I'm probably slightly on the higher side. Protein in the off season for me got to 450. Right now, it's like 350 to 375. I feel like everybody should kind of find their upper limit of protein from a digestion, enjoyment standpoint. If you enjoy eating protein, if you enjoy having high protein, it doesn't impact your stomach, why wouldn't you want to have more protein? We live in a world now where everything's always on the side of like, you don't need to train that often, you shouldn't be doing this much volume, you should be on low protein. How about we just do fucking the protein that's going to be best suited towards us in the moment? Do a good amount of protein, guys. Try, see what your upper limit is, and then go from there. I would be always on the side of having more protein than less protein, because why wouldn't you want to have a macro that is going to be extremely beneficial towards literally the process of putting on muscle and recovering? Simple. Is it necessary to stop taking Primobolan in a preparation for a competition? No, keep Primo in. If it's legit Primo, keep it in. Right, how long do you leave between your last carb meal and pre-bed GH dose? Doesn't matter, unless you are pinning your GH 3 hours pre-bed and you're having your meal like right before you go to sleep. GH takes ages to peak. Even if it's intramuscular, it's still going to take a good amount of time. As a result, just have your carb meal, do your GH before you go to sleep. So like, let's say for example, if I've ate my meal right now and then and then I'm going to bed after this and I've pinned my GH, I would be fine. I am not doing that. I would never do that, just based off my own routine and how I eat my meals. But it doesn't matter when I eat my meals, because it doesn't matter for most people unless you're eating a meal through the night and you're just being an idiot or something like that. Okay, so yeah. That's those. Let's keep going. What coaches have you been looking to over the years to learn from? So coach recommendations or coaches that I've learned from. So I literally have been listening to the podcast to the side of me with Chris Tuttle, Andrew Berry and Carl Wilkes. I really like all of them. I think they have different knowledge sets, different experiences. I think Andrew Berry is really, really cool when it comes to like his experience. I think Chris Tuttle with athletes, and obviously Carl works with a lot of like younger guys, and he's like a bit more probably newer with maybe the methods and thought processes. I think those guys, the Unwrecked podcast, is really, really good. I enjoy the Physique Collective guys, more so Physique Collective main guy Joe, Physique Collective, for a lot of like newer sort of science geeky shit. I think that's quite cool. Trying to think off the top of my head as well who I listen to. I like listening to like all the old school guys. Like I like listening to let's say Paul Barnett, like Blue Taylor, even like there was a podcast for like Boston Lloyd, Leo Longevity, both are dead, and Blue, that I was just like thought was funny because it was just like old school bodybuilding and stuff like that. Like the experience is like, obviously I've already mentioned like J3U, but like you've got the modern day science evidence based guys, and you've got like the slightly more sort of experience driven individuals, and I think like we should get a bit of a mix of those. Like let's say like think big bodybuilding with like Dusty Hanshaw and stuff like that. Like Dusty is not the most intelligent person in regards to bodybuilding, but he's done it for so long, so why aren't we looking at these guys for let's say knowledge and stuff like that? I really like Joe Purchase stuff, like that. I said I think on the last video, he's one of the reasons why I started doing this, because I enjoy his solo Q&As. I was on his podcast, he's a great guy. I think as well like Hilly in the UK, fantastic, trained by JP. The forum is really good. All the guys on that forum are very knowledgeable. Within the UK, Cuba's done so well from a coaching standpoint. So I respect all these guys. Like that's not to say I've learned directly from any of them. I just like seeing their content, and I like to think to myself, how do they perceive something? What can I do? And funnily enough, some of these guys will ask me questions which I'm like, okay, no, this is cool. Like I've been in conversations with PDs about Cuba literally today, about Increlex the other day. He was messaging me about that, which I was like, fucking hell, this is sick. Like Cuba messaging me about fucking gear or something like that. Like Nick Walker, I speak to a good amount about peptides, which is mental. Like Nick Walker's asking me about peptides. I'm like, Nick, you are like the 5th best bodybuilder in the world, or top 5, and like you could be better, and you probably should have won the Arnold's. I was there. You got robbed, bro. Yeah, like he didn't. Andrew Jack looked great, but like regardless, like these guys, I'm like, what the fuck? And like I end up just like I get into cool conversations with these people. I'm like, this is fucking sick. So yeah. Current plans, getting fucking shredded, bro. Gonna win some fucking shows. Hell fucking yeah. Drop the plug for the Travis Scott's cheap fucking fake websites, guys. I ain't paying full money for full price shoes. Like with things like my car, like everything on that car is like legit, spot on, expensive. Let's say for example, I don't know, technology. Like I bought a fucking PS5 Pro last year when I didn't need to, but I was like, I want a PS5 Pro. Like I will spend money on things that I think make sense. Shoes, I'm going to wear them and batter them. Like I am not spending the most expensive pair of shoes I have a pair of Balenciagas that are like £800. They're the most expensive shoes. They're the only real expensive shoes. Other than that, a couple £100 here and there. Trying to think. To be fair, I've got a few pairs of like Alexander McQueen's, but they're like 300 to 400. Like I'm not paying 1,200 on a real pair of Travis's. I will get a fake pair. So yeah, I actually don't know where I got them from. I think I saw them on like an Instagram advert, and they're actually alright. So I've got a few pairs. Modern Warfare 3, first Call of Duty question. Hell yeah, in the chat. ACR, what attachment, perks and kill streaks? If specialist, then what perks? I'm going to be honest, guys, I can't remember much about Modern Warfare 3, which is crazy, because I got to like 10th prestige, but I feel like my brain only picked up COD 4, World at War Zombies, loads of Modern Warfare 2, and then a lot of Black Ops 1, and then from that point I kind of like didn't tap out, but I think like I didn't play loads of Black Ops 2, which I know is a sin, and I know the ports are coming out and I am going to get the ports, but I didn't play loads of Black Ops 2. I played lots of Modern Warfare 3, but I remember a lot thinking this isn't Modern Warfare 2. And I think, you know, like people say, like, you remember like the start of a story and the end of a story. I don't remember the middle parts. In Modern Warfare 3, if you said to me like ACR, I'm like, the ACR was great on its own. I remember the holographic sight was pretty okay. I used the PP something 2000, was it PP 9000 something 2000? I don't know. I used that, the gun with the mag that was like that, and you popped it off. Yeah, I don't. ACR, like, what was the meta attachment? Was it the foregrip? We didn't need a foregrip. The recoil was non-existent. I'm just going to say ACR holographic sight, because I felt like the holographic sight was pretty good, but I might be incorrect there. And then perks, I'm going to be honest, guys, like I said, I don't really remember the perks. Like, there was, like, the meta perks. Like, I remember a lot of people did run the specialist thing, because you get, like, obviously, like, hardline, and you get the Moabs. I got one Moab on Modern Warfare 3. I got loads of nukes. I was clearly just abusing the kill streaks. But yeah, like, I didn't actually use the ACR that much. Like, I don't feel like I did. I sniped a lot of Modern Warfare 3. The UMP-45, I remember being like, this isn't as good as the Modern Warfare 2 UMP-45. And, like, yeah, I'd choose probably the, like, is it the MP7? Was MP7 Black Ops 2? I think MP7 was Black Ops 2. Yeah, I can't actually remember. But yeah, Modern Warfare 3, my time of remembering is really poor, so I come across like an absolute noob. But like, I remember playing loads of survival, loads of infected. Oh, I played so much Modern Warfare 3, but I just don't remember loads of it. So yeah, what's the Five Guys protocol? There's not a lot of options, guys. It's literally a Five Guys. In prep, before shows, I did 2 bacon cheeseburgers, without the cheese actually, so bacon hamburgers. Toppings wise, I can't remember. Onions, grilled onions, lettuce. That it? I think so. Can't remember. Ketchup, whatever. And then I did a large Cajun fries, and then Sanai got a large regular fries, and I had half of that. So that was my final meal before stage, but like that was like 14 hours before I was on stage. Yeah, like I did that like post-workout, and then I had 14 hours to dry out. So yeah, in this prep, it was a triple patty bacon cheeseburger, so I kept cheesing because it's like not that close to shows, and I wanted a bit more fats, and then just a large Cajun fries. If I'm in the off season, it's probably 2 burgers with a large fries, or a triple depending on how hungry I am. Like if it's post-workout, probably 2 burgers. If it's not and it's a rest day, I'm probably doing the large Cajun, and I'll probably share the Cajun fries. Like that's a lot of food. Like I don't know, I don't like to, if I eat off plan, I'm not having a fucking boatload of food. And I ate so much Five Guys in prep last year that like I haven't really ate Five Guys. I'm not a massive burger sort of guy, to be fair. Like I really don't like a burger. Like I will have a burger because it has some purpose within my bodybuilding, and from a volume standpoint it makes sense. But like if you gave me an off plan meal, I'd choose Thai food, I'd choose like a good quality Chinese food, I would choose a burrito, I would choose a pizza. I would have a lot of things over a burger and fries, but that's just me. EQ as an off-season mass builder or primo? EQ 100%. Run more test, it's more anabolic than primo in regards to, in my opinion, milligram to milligram, and I also think as well it's just a little bit less gay. Like you don't have to inject as much. Just primo is a bit gay, but I do like primo. Is metformin redundant? Yes, no, kinda, maybe not. If you have access to peptides, which is 2026, you should have access to peptides. Can you get the same insulin benefits? Potentially so. As a result, as long as you don't mind injecting yourself, taking low dose Reta, low dose SLU, MOTC, things like that, that's going to be doing very the same without the side effects, and also getting a load of other benefits as well. Metformin, I think, does have some purpose if you're having a set off plan meal per week and you're like, right, I'm just crank some metformin and put in 500 mcg or something like that, maybe. But I just think like there's better things that's going to be causing less sides. So yeah, metformin, is it redundant? Probably so in 2026, but I also think there's some small circumstances where I'm like, yeah, maybe you could run some. Best advice for an athlete who wants to transition from men's physique to classic: train your fucking legs, bro. Train your legs and pose your legs. Posing your legs will help you train your legs, I guarantee. And also as well, you'll connect better with your quads when it comes to your training, so you'll get more out of it. I think literally just a case of understanding the criteria now. Like it's about X-frame, it's about outer quads, it's probably about adductors. If you're a good men's physique guy, you'll probably transition quite well to classic. Unless you're me, I got worse. I was a shit classic guy. I was alright in men's physique, just with how my structure is. So yeah, best advice, just enjoy it, man. It's fucking cool going from a class to a bigger class, and it is quite scary. So fucking lock in, get yourself eating, get yourself fucking training, get yourself fucking taking some drugs. Hell yeah. Opinions of 16-year-olds who take gear / delusion with pro card status at the same time. I mean, if I was 16, I would not be taking PDs. I think we're going to see a lot of people who have been on gear since very young become, especially as they're getting older, become quite mentally a little bit all over the place. I know of a few, especially within the UK, who have been on gear from teenage years, and I think brain chemistry, brain altering, and just in general, like how people's brains are going to be working. Like I started when I was 22, and I'm so glad I did, because I was already somewhat the same person. Yeah, a fair bit more immature and not as experienced, but like I wasn't an absolute fucking idiot. If I started gear when I was 17, 18, 19, even 16, Jesus Christ, I would not be in the position I'm in now. I would have been way too haphazard. I'd be way too aggressive. When you're 16, you don't think you're going to die. You don't think about side effects. You don't think about a family. You don't think about a future. You just think about the moment, in the moment. And I think that sort of thought process, when you're natural, is fantastic, because you can just go all in on natural bodybuilding and you're not going to fuck yourself up. You will fuck yourself up potentially. And then long term, like, let's be honest, like, and this is a bit of a controversial topic, but does anybody know, you know, like in the gym, anybody who's been on gear for 20 plus years, speak to them, you can tell they're retarded, like they're idiots. And I think, imagine being, like, say, in your 30s, trying to raise a kid or whatever, or try and, like, run a regular job because you realise you're not going to be a top-end pro, because not many people are, let's be honest, you know, and stuff like that. And, like, you've been on gear since you were 16. You will be a mess, physically and mentally. So, yeah, like, and then delusion pro card status. I mean, people are always going to be like that. The amount of people that are like, I want to win a pro card, and they've never even fucking competed, like, that's quite a common goal. Like, you can't really complain about that, you know, like, not like a lot of people who play football when they're 10 want to be professionals. They ain't going to be, but you'll realise eventually. But like, most people can get a pro card. You'll just be a shit pro. So yeah, longest you've taken away from stage to maximise size you've built, 2.5 years, from 2023 midway through to end of 2025. It would have only been 2 years if I didn't injure my knee, but it was 2.5 years, and I gained like 15 kilos of tissue, and I was leaner. So hell yeah. Definitely was good. Not a question, but you're a big inspiration, man. Thank you so much. Means a lot, even though it isn't a question, but thank you. Right, next one. What's your opinion on Tren Hex? Tren Hex is just Tren. People speak of it like the Holy Grail because it's basically the same ester as what Parabolin used to be, so the Parabolin amps, and people go, oh my god, Tren Hex, Parabolin's the best thing ever. Yeah, it's just Tren. I don't see it being like deployed nowadays based on the fact we have acetate and enanthate. And if, like, I would look at it and think, if it was the Holy Grail and the secret, or it was so good, you'd have more people talking about it and taking it. That's kind of the way that I think a lot about PDs and peptides. If you don't see big dudes who have done well speaking about it, probably a reason why. Like, just use some critical thinking here, guys, when it comes to stuff like this, okay? And then, yeah, we got a few more. Oh no, we don't have a few more. How long are we into this video? 37 minutes. Yeah, guys, sit down. We got plenty of time left. I thought we were wrapping up. We're not. Come on, England. Crazy match last night. Yeah, England are going to win the World Cup, guys. It's coming home. It's not. We're shit. We'll beat Norway, I imagine, and then we'll get knocked out against Argentina. In before some Norwegians comment, oh my god, like, we knocked you out. And I'm like, I couldn't care. I'm not an England fan. I'm an England hater. I'd like to see England do well based off the vibes and the fact I watch the games with Finn, and it's fun, and I like seeing the UK be positive about something for once, but I am not an England fan. Like, I struggle to get invested in that. I think France are probably a bit too much, especially in a one-off game. I think Argentina, with the Messi World Cup tax, I think they'll knock us out, and I think Norway are really good. Erling Haaland and Odegaard, that Nusa, and then what's his name, Oscar Bob. That is like an attacking quartet. Very good. So yeah. How much Vitsi are you consuming per day? 3,000 milligrams. Yeah, just split it up. I do 2,000 in the morning and then 1,000 in the evening. Saturday's predictions, that's for England, Norway. I think we will beat them, but I also could see us losing. I've said that for every other game. I don't know. I'm going to say 2-0 England. No, 2-1, Haaland will score. Do you worry about your future health and longevity because of your PD usage? Now, this individual asks this question every single time I do a question box, that I feel like. And I try to ignore it because I speak about health all the time. Like, I'm somebody who, I understand the risks, and what I'm doing is not healthy. However, can you do things with the greatest level of health in mind? Yes. However, there is an element to it where what we do in life at times can be described as by other people, like, oh, you're not worried. It's like, well, yeah, of course, I don't want to die, but I also understand that this is something that I want and choose to do, and this enhances my life, and it makes me a better person, it makes me a better bodybuilder, and I'd rather live my life than just exist. And I mean that in a way of like not being stupid. Like, I think I manage side effects really well. I still have my hair, never have any skin breakouts or acne. My bloods are always relatively sound. I've never had any health scares from PEDs directly. However, at the same time, if I was to run into them, I would be fully understood that it is my own doing. That's just how it is. That's how it should be. But would I say I worry? Why would I worry? Like, if I have that sort of mindset every time I get in a plane, I'd be thinking, oh my god, what happens if I crash? What happens if I crash? The plane crashes. Every time we get in the car, I see the sun, I'm gonna get skin cancer. Spoiler alert: we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die, and I'd rather live a life that is fulfilled for the stuff I enjoy. And as well, I feel like I have only been on PEDs for 5 years. I have lived 27 years. 22 of my years of his life has been, I'd say, pretty healthy, pretty dialed in. I didn't eat shit through my younger years. I've been training since I was 13. I've done daily cardio for 10 plus years. I have had bloods done plenty of times. If I have 5 to 10 years of being objectively on the not maybe the healthier side, it's probably better than a lot of people. And I don't want to use that as an excuse, but yeah, of course I worry about health and stuff like that, but I also understand what I'm doing isn't healthy, and I'm not going to then sit there and fret. I'm just going to go, okay, cool, I'll roll with it, and I'll do things as safe as possible, within reason, obviously, relative to my goals. If you had to choose one forever, what would it be? Forever surplus, forever deficit? Well, forever deficit, I would die. If you're in a deficit every single day, eventually you would die. And then forever surplus, you would be critically obese, or you'd be very large. I would say, if you were to talk about, like, to the point of, like, would I prefer to prep or off-season? I'd much rather prep. I'd much rather the way that I feel, the way that I look, the way that my body is. Fucking hate eating a lot of food, which is hilarious because I have to, even in preps. But, yeah, I would rather be in a deficit. I'd rather be 4 weeks out year-round than fucking 40 weeks out, you know? So, yeah. Right, next one. Ever used Ment during off-season? Thoughts on it? Never used Ment. Yeah, never used it. Pretty strong. I've never had anyone come to me who's used it that's like I love fucking Ment, bro. I'd be like, okay, cool, we're not using that. So yeah, right. Can I train arms on both upper and lower? If you want, bro, give it a go. See how you respond. First off, you look wicked. When do you plan on getting that IFBB Pro card? So I'm doing the Austria Pro Qual, 22nd of August. That is the first Pro Qual, and hopefully the only Pro Qual. So yeah, I imagine I will get it next month. If I don't, then we'll keep going. But I think I'll be close. I think I'll be pretty fucking close. And yeah, so that's the plan. But we will see. You never know. And God willing, I will be 100% healthy, fine, ready to go, and throw my fucking hat in the ring, or whatever the saying is. I think it's that. HGH on morning or before bed? Before bed. All the time before bed. All pre-bed. Yeah. Any tips for a very tall bodybuilder, 6'4", looking to maximise V-taper and muscle mass naturally? Full range of motion, lift heavy, eat a good amount of food. Believe it or not, you have to do exactly the same as what a guy who isn't 6'4" is, because bodybuilding is the same no matter what. Your frame is just larger, and it's going to take longer amounts of time to fill out. So embrace longer off seasons. That would be the only maybe difference. And yeah, train your limbs a lot, because your legs and arms are long, so you're going to have to fill them out with muscle to look pretty jacked. Okay, what second compound would you recommend adding in? I'd probably say for most people Mastron or Primo, but the fact that in the likelihood that Primo could be fake, especially in nowadays market, I would probably go Mastron. And then I think if you're a little bit more like towards the side of like, oh shit, I'm not rheumatizing and feel pretty fucking good, and like I want to be taking things long term, it's like, well, maybe EQ, like EQ or Mastron or Primo, probably one of the DHCs to begin, and then maybe transition to Mastron, EQ. So yeah, what do you think about Proviron? Waste of money in most circumstances. I think maybe in a prep from a cosmetic standpoint, but in an off season or any other phase, like, just save your money. It's not androgenic. It's directly androgenic, but it's not anabolic. There's literally no anabolism that's going to come from it. It's just pure DHT. So I don't really see any purpose of it, even to be fair, within a prep. But if you are adding it and you get on well with it, and it does give you a harder, dry visual, feel free. But from an anabolism standpoint, no one's going to go, oh my god, bro, this off season's going well, I can tell you on the Proviron, or wow, this deficit, unless it's a comp prep, but this deficit is going well, man, that Proviron, those 2 tabs a day, I don't think it's going to be hugely different, if I'm honest. Use of pre-workout insulin. Are you a fan of ratios of carbs in pre-workout meals when utilizing? No, it shouldn't be a case of I'm taking this much insulin so I can eat this much food. I'd say anywhere from 3 to 5 IUs is more than enough pre, intra, post. I think realistically, if you use intra, you probably don't need post because it's still going to be within your system, especially considering your intra is not going to be huge. I would personally go on the side of utilizing it post initially and then maybe pre and intra. 5 IU post, if you've got a good amount of food, you probably would want north of, like, people say 10 grams per 1 IU, and that's fine, but I mean, I wouldn't be going much higher than 5 IUs. I don't think you need much more than that, especially if you're using a basal insulin in the background and insulin sensitive peptides. Right, top anabolic you like to use in off season. I mean, probably just test, if I'm honest. Yeah, you could use test, another compound to control estrogen, and then GH. That's all that you need, really. When bulking, would you always do a mini cut after so long? Depends on where you're at composition wise, bro. Being fat is not good, but also consistently dieting and yo-yo dieting and just coming up and coming down is also not good. So yeah, take that as you will. Post show, rebound or hell phase? I want to rebound aggressively within hell phase. You've answered your own question there, buddy. Yeah. I don't really, like, again, it depends on what you want to do, bro. Like, if you want to do that, then feel free. I think rebounds are so underrated. They're not spoken about enough. You should rebound if you need to step up muscularity-wise pretty aggressively, and you have the time, the health, and the setup of not being battered. I would be on the side of always giving yourself a little bit more time from starting out anabolics within the prep to leverage post-show. So let's say, for example, you have 20 total weeks, save 4 weeks at the start instead of jumping on 14 weeks out from your first show where you've got shows after. Just save it to the point where you then can run something for 4 weeks afterwards. Duration wise makes most amount of sense in my opinion, and just drop down the harsh compounds. Right, 80 kg, currently bulking. My coach has me on 2 grams salt each meal, 5 meals a day. Is that necessary? Could be, could maybe not be. Sodium is sodium, bro. Like, you're gonna have your own individual sort of sodium levels that's gonna be best suited with you. It's gonna be dependent on sodium, electrolytes, fluids, how hard you train, how much muscle mass you have. 2 grams of salt really isn't that much. I have more on that. In my pre and intra, I have like 70% of your total salt, and that's only in 1 meal and 1 drink. So, yeah, but again, it depends. Right, last few questions of these, and then I've got some from today, so these are a bit newer. So, best Pokemon game and go-to E4 team. I'm going to be honest, I think the best Pokemon game I played was probably Pokemon Emerald, mainly because it's the first like proper one I got into. I played like Fire Red, I played a load of Fire Red, but I got that after Emerald, and I thought Emerald was really good. I enjoyed the starting Pokemon. Blaziken was fucking goated, triple kick or whatever it was. I thought the legendary Pokemons, Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza, but then as well, like, you can't really ignore, you know, the Gen 1s. We got a Venusaur here. I don't know if you can see Charizard up there. Got a Gengar, got a Blastoise, got a Snorlax. I've got a Squirtle. I have a fair few Pokemons up there. I need to put this guy up there. So yeah, but Gen 1 is the most legendary. I think Gen 3 is the best. But at the same time, I know a lot of people fucked with like Diamond and Pearl and stuff like that. I only ever played the remakes, and I thought they were really good. So yeah, and then go to Elite 4 team. I would not know. I'd have to load up some of my older saves and stuff like that to kind of see where things are and all that sort of jazz. Otherwise, Bean is under my car, guys. Give me a sec. We're back, guys. So sorry. Bean is my cat, and she is an indoor cat. This is Bean, and I just saw her go. So she's been allowed outside in the garden, and we've thought she doesn't go. Like, she just goes in the garden. She doesn't go in the garden. She just literally walked. She clearly jumped the fence and has gone under my car. She lied down under my car and then saw me looking at her through the window, and then absolutely like bricked it, basically thinking, oh my god, they know I'm going outside. So she just ran. Like, it was like, she's a very switched on cat and she knows she shouldn't be outside. So yeah, she clearly snuck out thinking, I'm gonna sneak out, like, because she's been outside a lot more because it's hot. So clearly she's going to be on probation, not probation, she's one on she's been getting grounded. She ain't going outside. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, last few for this, and then obviously we'll get into the ones from today. Unlimited budget for a car, some mods, what you're picking. I am getting a OG, like, legit premium, non-ragged and abused Nissan R34 Skyline. I am tuning that son of a bitch up to 1200 horsepower. And I am legit just going to drive it once a year, and the engine will probably blow up. That would be the goal. If we're talking modern car, I mean, to be fair, I'm going to be honest, I love my G82 M4. Like, it's so snazzy. It's awesome as well. It's nice inside. It's very comfortable. It's a nice drive, and it's also really quick. Yeah, I think I also would like I probably, if I'm talking unlimited money, probably go like a GT3 RS, but I just wouldn't fit in one, and I wouldn't want to daily drive it. But like a top end GT3 RS, the GT3 Tourings are pretty fucking cool. There's a new GT3 convertible that I'm not a massive fan of convertible cars, but like I like a Turbo S, and I'm gonna get a top end Porsche, but. Like, I don't really think as well Porsches look great modded unless it's like maybe like a GT2 RS or a GT3 RS. But yeah, anything else that springs to mind that I'd be like, fuck yeah, like, I don't know. I think like a top elite spec Urus is pretty cool. But that's like they're very common, but like not the top spec ones. But they're like the top spec ones. Like, give me like a matte black or like a matte green. Ooh, nasty. So yeah, just finished college, PT core. What should I do next bodybuilding related? Get into the gym and fucking enjoy it, bro. Get into the gym and enjoy it. And then final one, already spoke about incorrect in the last one. I think that's actually everything. If you had to pick, would you rather stop training yourself or stop coaching? I don't know. Does it really matter? Like, let's be honest. Does it really matter? Not really, like, because this isn't going to be applicable, so I'm sorry. Wow, got loads already from today. Okay, we'll speed run these guys because I don't need to be doing this for fucking 2 hours. No one's going to be listening to me. Hopefully not. Top 3 zombie maps and wonder weapons of all time. Fantastic question. More like this, less bodybuilding shit. Why are we here? We're here for fucking Call of Duty zombies, alright? Top 3 zombie maps. Shadows of Evil, number 1. Rise and Draken, and then Origins. Yeah, it has to be those 3 in order. That's what I'd say. Origins and DE I think could flip and flop, and the Black Ops 2 like port might change my opinion, but those would be the top 3. And then top 3 wonder weapons. Thunderguns. It's just such an easy wonder weapon to use, but I don't think it is. I'm gonna go. I want to have like one of the original ray guns, just because it was cool. And it's like, yeah, it's just such a cool gun. Scavenger's sick, but objectively pretty naff. Any other Black Ops 3? The Apothecon Servant. Oh, some just fucking good guns, man. I wouldn't actually know like wonder weapons off the top of my head, like what I enjoyed the most. Like, yeah, OG ray gun, just because like remind me I've got the ray gun and stuff like that. And like back in the day, like getting the ray gun, even though you kill yourself on it, with like Natcha and Totem was just sick. And obviously like Black Ops 1 ray gun with like PhD goated. I probably would want to. I'm forgetting, guys. No. Wolf bow, so aesthetic. Quests are sick. Ice staff. Yeah, I'm forgetting all the staffs and stuff, guys. Oh, shocking for me. Yeah, I'm gonna go wolf bow, OG Black Ops 1 ray gun, and fire staff's cool. Just a one-hit Panzer fire staff. Why the fuck not? That's more so for vibes. Am I forgetting anything there? Yeah, we're going to go with that. Okay, that's that. How much and how long do you run SS31 prior to MOTC? Why do you have to run it prior? Could run it during. SS31 studies are pretty fucking high. I would say anywhere from 2 to 5 milligrams a day. I quite like 2 milligrams every other day for 2 to 3 weeks. I think that's going to be more than enough. I don't think you need to be taking it every day. I think you need to have time for your body to basically just like do its own processes. But I think SS31, in between phases, when you're pushing your body pretty extreme, when you're taking high doses of SLU, MOTC, etc., I think it's quite important just to basically regenerate and kind of clear things up. So that's what I'd say there. What is the worst thing a client has done? Been like post-show, anything, i.e. leaving/binging? Yeah, clients leave. Luckily, a lot of mine don't really, especially post-show, which is great. I think it is actually a reflection of the coach if a client just leaves immediately post-show. I think it's probably, again, not maybe the best coaching through the prep. I don't think I've had a single person this year compete and they've left, and last year I think I maybe had 1 or 2, and I think that actually made sense within the moment. But yeah, people leave. Like, that's not anything that bad. Binging-wise, I've seen some pretty bad binging. I've seen a guy I've spoke about a fair bit, coaching him again. He's a nice kid, but we did a PCA show. He won the overall, and he was, I think, 20 kilos up before finals, and finals was only 4 weeks later, and we managed to pull down another 9 kilos, but it was like the damage was done, and that was within a very short period of time. But it's easily doable, and like that's not to beat this guy up and be like, oh my god, like he's learned from it, but like, he has struggled, but like it is quite common. Like it can be like, what the fuck, how is this doable? So yeah, like for the guy who's asked this, like he did have a shit day or two. He's a guy who competed this year. He had a shit day or two, and he was up a lot of weight, and like I really was like quite stern with him. He's been spot on since, but like he was 5 to 6 kilos up in 2 days, and he was on stage in the 70s. So like think about that, like you gain 10% of body weight in 2 days, like a day and a half. That's easily doable. That someone who's enhanced, who's bigger than you or whatever, or has more muscle and stuff like that, like they can put on a good amount of weight. I remember going to I won't actually mention what it is because it might give away. I went to a meetup with a coaching team or a coaching individual that I wasn't coached by, but I was around people who were coached by this individual. I'm quite close with them, and one of his clients was 65 pounds up in less than a month. So yeah, crazy. I remember seeing him thinking, like, I genuinely almost didn't recognize him. I was like, who's that? I was like, oh my god, what? A month? What have you done? And it was like, must have been like off-plan food every single day with like fucking snacks and shit and random foods, like crazy. So yeah, gayest thing you've done this week? I don't know. Gayest thing I've done this week? I haven't really been thinking about the stuff that I've been doing that's pretty gay. Anything gay that I've done? Come back to me. I don't really know, actually. I haven't really thought about it. I've been kind of in my own bubble recently. I haven't really been like engaging with that many people. I've been in the gym, fucking training. Did I do anything over the weekend? Surely I did something that was a bit gay. I do a lot of things that are gay, guys, but I can't think off the top of my head. Thoughts on everyone jumping on the unbranded Chinese GH? And have you? Yes. Already shown it. Yeah, I think other than a bit of more water retention and stuff like that, the fact of being able to utilise high doses and it's cheaper and more accessible and the quality is relatively sound, like GH is GH. Like, as long as it's not causing you issues, which it can with more water retention, but as long as it's not causing major issues, I wouldn't be fretting or worrying, you know, and stuff like that. Like, thoughts on it, if everyone's doing it, probably a reason why, you know, it's probably pretty good for you, in the sense of progress. Maybe not like doing fucking 20 IUs, probably not going to be great for you long term, you know. That's not saying I'm not going to do it. Would you hop in a pro show if you get the card this season? Yes, if it's like the same weekend. I don't think I would do a show like that's not on the same weekend. So if I am sure the Austria one, there is a pro show that same weekend. If I win my pro card and they're like, do you want to do it? It's tomorrow, or it's this afternoon. Hell fucking yeah, get me in. I am 1,000,000% doing that shit. But like, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let me go do my pro debut 3 weeks later and then get 16th out of 17. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would have to depend. And also, it would have to be a show that I would be like, that's cool. But I'll do my pro debut next year. That's the goal. Like, even though I would need more time off to be truly competitive, I want to get myself in front of American judges, showcase my strengths, and kind of see how things are. Bro is saying this while he's an amateur. Crazy. I might even get a pro card this year. You never know, but yeah. Okay, do food source matter? Already answered that one. Have you used IGF-LR3 in arms? I need to bring up these shitty biceps up. Yes, IGF-LR3, 200 mcg, split bilaterally. You could work up to 300 to 400 mcg, which obviously gets quite expensive. I would say that with synergy of a good amount of, let's say, pump product, L-carnitine, injectable pre-workouts into the muscle. Also could look upon Metaform, hyaluronic acid into the arm. I've done that only in my arms and my left quad, and that helps massively from a connection standpoint, from a fullness standpoint, especially within a prep. But off season, do you need Metaform? I don't think you do, in my opinion. I think just save it for a prep or a fat loss phase, or touching up like a peak of a bicep if you need to. People don't speak about shit like this, but it happens. Like, it does a lot, but people don't speak about it. Right. Oh my god, the same question. You know, the person who says, do you worry about health? Have you got any health issues from PEDs? The same person. I think I'm going to block this individual, because it's always like, I don't know, maybe that's just me being a bit sensitive, but like, maybe they just really care about my health. Don't think so. Best 3 supplements or slash peps you'd recommend for energy on prep? Motsy, maybe NAD+, but I don't really speak about it a lot, but I do think it gives a good amount of energy. I'd probably say, actually, best supplements slash peptides: Motsy, L-carnitine, and GH. They're all going to work within similar pathways. SLU is really good. Cleanse really good for direct energy. There's probably going to be some side effects from it. I'd say caffeine as well. Like, if we think about it, caffeine's probably going to be that. Magnesium for better sleep quality. Like, I would just say, like, focus on sleep. The Motsy and the the Motsy is probably going to be the best one, if I'm being honest. Like, that's just probably going to be the one that I'd go for. But then as well, like, keeping on top of cortisol management and stress and stuff like that. If you were going on holiday, would you take any lipolytics to minimize fat gain? This is a guy who's post-show. If it makes sense within your plan and you have lipolytics in, would I take them? Yes. But would I also be going on holiday immediately post-show? Probably not. I give it a few weeks. And at that point, hopefully they're out. So, like, you shouldn't... If you're in an off-season, you're done with your prep, why are you worried about fat gain? Like, just don't be a fucking idiot. You control what goes in your mouth, bro. What do you think the biggest thing is for people's lifts not going up? Probably just being pussies, not fucking pushing themselves, getting scared of weight. Yeah, like... just one of those sort of things. Saw you doing hip thrusts in recent posts. Was under the impression those were gay. Thoughts? Yep, I am. I am gay. I'm gay with a fiance. So yeah, that's the gayest thing I've done. I did hip thrusts. How to approach switching from low volume to high volume? Just add more volume, bro. I'm sorry. I get to this part of the video, I'm just like fucking taking heads. I'm just like, fuck everybody. Yeah, no. So slowly work it up. Like, do you need to? Why are we going to a high volume? Like, you know, that doesn't really make too much sense. Just slowly work up volume if needed on the body parts that's needed, but just take your time. And then. Yeah, last few. Can anyone get a bodybuilder level physique if they get coached naturally? Potentially, yeah. You can look like a natural bodybuilder, but you're not going to look like an enhanced bodybuilder. That's just how it is. Sorry. Best advice for athlete working in a labour-intensive job wanting to put on serious size. Labour-intensive, you're probably going to eat a bit more food. You have. If you can still eat, if you can still get to the gym, then cool. Like, it's probably not going to make a huge difference. Like, unless you're going to the gym really, really tired, that's probably also going to be mentally. Just like going to the gym as you would be and thinking, can I train maximally? Can I sleep to a good extent? Can I eat my meals? If the answer to those is all yes and I can, you shouldn't have any issues. And then last question. If you had to describe yourself as one anabolic steroid, which would it be? Can't be tren or test. Motherfucking Superdrol, guys. Come on. It's Reese Fit. Superdrol. Superdrol. There's nothing else. That's it. Cool. Sound right or incorrect. But that's not an anabolic steroid. That's more of a down the IGF pathway, obviously. So yeah, right. Hope everyone enjoyed. If you do like these videos, please continue to let me know. For no other reason. Sanaya's here. Sanaya, I'm doing the outro. No, you can't go in and come on, do the outro.
For what?
The YouTube video.
Which one?
Q&A. Our Q&A.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Woo!
See you later. Sound. Bye, guys.